Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm just going to fine-tune a couple of comments that were made by people earlier and also say a few things on my own. But one of the things I want to say first is that there's been a lot of talk here about contractors who have taken money and not done what they're supposed to do. And you would think that here we are 4 years and 10 months down the road that that would be over with, and unfortunately it isn't. I'm dealing with 3 or 4 right now, 2 of which just came up this week. I had a client come into the office with a set of plans that was very poorly prepared by one of my distant competitors. And she said she'd given the contractor $60,000 and couldn't find him. And I said, how far along is the project? And she said, well, they didn't get a building permit yet. So absolutely nothing has been done. No survey prepared, no nothing, $60,000 gone. And an unknown contractor in an unknown location. So they're still out there, and you really need to be careful about that. Another thing is, Vince mentioned how the contract should specifically tie certain amounts of money to a certain amount of performance. Well, there's a lot of ways that that contract can be played with to make it look like you're doing more than what you're actually doing. I was up in Leonardo, which is at the far end of nowhere last week, and the client had a house that was about 2/3 done. And he had given the contractor 95% of the money. And I said, well, why did you give that much? He says, here's my contract. And it showed specific percentages paid along the way. But instead of saying exactly what was done, it would say things like 15% paid after painting, 10% paid after elevator installed. So there were amounts listed, but not every item was listed. So he was able actually to take things and shove them out into the end of the project. So here he's given them the 95% that showed up after painting, and he said, I thought the house would be almost done. But what about final electric? What about final plumbing? What about floor covering? What about kitchen cabinets? What about the elevator? These are all things that were not done. The house is painted, it's sheetrock, there's no trim, and yet you owe the guy $15,000 to finish the job. He has no reason to want to come back other than whatever ethics he has. He's not going to be making money, he's going to be losing a fortune as he finishes the house. Hopefully he'll be losing money that he took earlier on in the job. But again, he can't be found. No idea where he is, and the money was paid out based on the contract, but the contract was not strongly enough written to reflect the different parts of the house that should have been done as it got that far along. Met up with a client last year who Vince has the pleasure of finishing up the house right now. The contractor got about 60% of the money. The shell was probably 2/3 complete. There was no siding on the house yet. The wrong windows had been installed. What was done in an extremely poor manner.
Scott wrote a 4-page, and all the time I've known him, I've never seen this. He wrote a 4-page, single-spaced critique letter for the insurance company.
Oh my God.
It was terrible.
But this client had paid the contractor based on things that were listed in the contract. One of them was final electric and final plumbing. Well, what the contractor did was he drilled a couple holes in the floor, pushed some pipes through the floor, stuck some wires through the floor, and said, my final electric and plumbing, or rough electric and plumbing, are done. So I get another $25,000, whatever the amount was. He probably spent $15 on wiring and pipes, and a half a day drilling a couple holes, and the client did not know that final electric or rough electric and rough plumbing was not complete. All the wires, I went underneath and I looked, and here's a little piece of wire hanging down from the bottom of the house. It's not connected to anything, it's there.
Did they check if it was REM approved?
Did they what?
Before they did it, did they check if the place was like not a fraud, like REM approved?
I don't know if the builder was recommended to her by REM or not, but I know that she's in the process now of dealing with the police department in her township, trying to get the builder to be incarcerated. I don't know what the next step's going to be on that.
Wow.
And then the final thing I saw, which was also kind of funny, was a builder was due for a certain payment, and one of the things listed on that payment was insulation. So he went off to Home Depot and bought 2 bags of insulation and put them in the back of his car and showed up for the check and said, oh, by the way, here's your insulation, so you have to add $5,500 to the amount of check you're getting me right now. And it was probably $30 worth of insulation. Nowhere near enough to do the whole house. But you get an uninformed customer who says, oh, well, the installation's here, good, though. Left it ready to go. Done. Give me the, the money. So a lot of that is, of course, just plain lack of knowledge. A lot of it is builders trying to scam people. but it's still going on out there. It's just amazing me to see this far down the road. Just to touch briefly on the issue of wind sway in a house, which is a completely different direction now. I just built a house for myself on Long Beach Island. Wind design down there is 125 miles an hour, and as it is for almost all of Ocean County at this point, and towns south along the coast as well. 125 mile an hour wind speed will put pressure on the side of your house of 40 pounds per square foot. So if you have a house that's 30 feet long and 20 feet tall, that's 600 square feet at 40 pounds per square foot. You're talking about somewhere around 25,000 pounds of pressure against the side of that house. If your house is on piling sticking up in the air and there's nothing finished off underneath, the house will sway. There is no way in the world that they're going to prevent it completely. And like I said, I just finished building a house myself down on the island. Even when we first climbed up a ladder to walk around inside the house and look and see what the rooms were like and go ooh and ah, I walked across the floor like this, and I stopped, and I felt the house go like this. And it does, and I'm not 700 pounds, but it doesn't take a whole lot of weight to make that house move because all you have is the thin pilings. Now, as soon as the slab was poured and the wall was built around the perimeter to lock the whole thing down, the movement stopped. So it isn't like it's something you're going to have for the rest of your life as long as you have an enclosure underneath the house. And of course, you can always go the next step and put cross bracing on the piling or wire ties from the top of one piling to the bottom of the next. So there are ways of preventing the sway, but it's something that's endemic. It's part of the nature of the house when it's raised up on pilings. Another point to touch on earlier is the house lifter who was here, Jason, I think it was, mentioned that he just completed or was working on the lift of a house that had a concrete slab and cinder block walls. It's really important if you're going to lift your house that you think about what the whole project is going to involve. It doesn't make sense to take a house and lift it if it's going to cost you 95% of the cost of building that house brand new. Because you're still going to have the old house. You're still going to have the low ceilings. You're still going to have the stranded floor plan that you dealt with for the whole time you lived in the house. You're still going to have your ancient windows and your old siding and your old electric and your old plumbing and heating systems. I bought my parents' house from them 29, maybe 30 years ago at this point. And I lifted it and I put new siding on and stripped it out inside and put new insulation on. I probably spent about $10 less than if I had built a brand new house at the time. Sold the house last year for about $10 more than what a vacant lot was sold for. So I did save $20 total. It's not really, it's something that needs to be thought about very carefully. It's almost like one of those diagrams where you say, I'm starting with this, and I'm going to end up either here or here. One is a new house, one is a house that's been elevated. And you kind of look at what you've got and you say, okay, so I've got this house and it's on a slab. Well, right away you go into that fact that there's probably a dumpster out there with your house's name printed on the side, and your house should go in the dumpster. When you build the house, the concrete's going to stay in the ground, the plumbing is going to stay in the ground, the bathtub's not going to go over the house, it's going to stay on the concrete slab. So you get to a point where the work that's involved to try to salvage that old house, which will still be an old house after you lift it up in the air, is not worth what it's going to cost in terms of value. And then there's a couple other things that dovetail into that same consideration. One is we have a brand new International Energy Efficiency Code. Your house can no longer be built the way it was as little as a year and a half ago. We have 6-inch outside walls now giving you better insulation. We have better windows that are roughly 2.5 times as better performing than they were even a matter of a few years ago. There's other considerations too. There's a lot of things you can do to save energy. I was just talking to this gentleman very briefly about it. But you can take a house and you can put a blown-in open cell foam insulation in the outside wall, which will fill all the cracks. You ever walk around your house and put your hand by the electrical out and say, hey, I feel cold air coming in? Well, it happens. It'll happen with a 6-inch wall, it'll happen with a 4-inch wall. But there starts to be things nowadays that you can look at that make the house more efficient, and you have to decide what's worth spending money on and what isn't. Things like low flow fixtures, low flow shower heads, low flow kitchen sinks, dual flush toilets. You got 2 buttons on the top, a big button and a little button. I'll bet you can figure out why there's 2 different size buttons. One you only get half the water flow through the toilet than the other one. So there's a lot of ways that you can start saving money. My wife and I moved from a house that it's been 4 years now since we built our new house. roughly the same size house. And I went from electric bills in the summer of $500 down to electric bills in the new house of $160 in the summer. I went from gas bills in the old house of about $350 in the winter down to about $150 in the winter. Again, didn't spend a fortune on things, but I probably could have saved $8,000 if I had cut back to a more basic construction. But it's the sort of thing where it's probably a worthwhile consideration, something you should be asking Vince or whoever your builder is that you choose to use. What can I do to make this house more efficient? And don't let the builder say to you, I've always built it this way and all my customers are happy, because they're not. It's as simple as that. You've got a way now that you can actually start saving some money and have a house that will not be a white elephant 10 years from now, when electricity no longer costs 15 cents a kilowatt. Talk about solar systems, photovoltaic systems, talk about things that are going to save you money in the long run. We're at a point right now where everybody's paid cheap dollars for natural gas for many, many years. It won't continue forever. The price of electricity won't stay where it is forever. So whatever you can do to make the house more efficient is going to pay off in the long run. Tied into that is the fact that you don't really need 4,000 square feet of house to be happy. If the house is well designed and you hire the right architect, you can have a house that might be much more efficient for you than what you planned on, and not be as big as what you thought it was going to be. We've done at this point over 9,000 houses. I like to tell Vince that less than half of them have fallen down, so we have a really good track record. And there's a good chance that you can come into my office or go to see Vince and look at plans that he's collected from us over the years and find something that might be pretty close to what you like. And then from there, we can fine tune that house for you and get you exactly what you want. And sometimes it ends up being a much better house than what you planned on, and not even costing as much because it's done more efficiently. So that's why you're paying me, and that's why you're paying Vince, to make sure that you get the job done in a way that makes sense for you. It's funny because I saw a little ad in Vince's blog for the, what was it, $90,000 house?
Go see half the chair.
Yeah. It's a little house that we designed. It's out in Orly Beach section. And it's got everything you need, as long as you're not looking to live there permanently with 5 kids. So there are ways to make every house work for you, or any house work for you, and make it as efficient as we can for your own needs, but not blowing it up to a point where you're going to own this white elephant 10 years from now. You're going to have to eat, cool, pay taxes on, clean, maintain, vacuum, paint, the whole bit. It just gets to a point where it doesn't make sense, and we should be talking about that right now.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I don't want to interrupt. What do you do, because we were with another builder, we're looking to switch. If you don't have coverage, or you don't know if you have coverage for your vinyl siding, and it's all pieced together, and you don't want to rack up a big bill to know if it's going to be included or not, just wait until you're done with it and do it yourself, I guess, because some of that's not actually covered, from the grant or whatever.
Why don't we talk about that afterwards?
Okay.
I'll discuss that.
All right.
One of the things that's really important is if you are building a new house, at the end of that construction period, you'll get from Vincent or from any builder a 10-year homeowner's warranty booklet. And that booklet will describe what the standards are that the house has to meet. And it will talk about things as simple as how big a crack is allowed in your driveway or in your foundation, through is the floor allowed to be out of level, and if so, how much? Is there allowed to be a gap between 2 pieces of vinyl siding, and if so, how much? The idea, as Vince said, is that nothing is going to be absolutely perfect. There are going to be things that aren't exactly what you hope they would be. There's going to be things that will be better than what you hope they would be. But there is a standard that you have to adhere to. And it's imperative that you have that booklet at the end of construction. There's builders who are going to ask you to sign off something saying, I'm acting as my own GC, so you don't get that book at the end. Avoid that by all means, because it's not a good idea. Along the same lines, Vince mentioned a couple times in his blog the fallacy of acting as your own general contractor. My father used to say that anybody who acts as their own general contractor has a fool for a client. Essentially, what happens is this, and again, somebody who has just completed building a house, I went out and I got prices from different subcontractors along the way, and few people realize how many different trades you're going to be dealing with in the course of building a house. Between tradespeople and suppliers, you could easily have between 30 and 50 different people you're going to be paying along the way to do work for you. So you don't realize how many are out there and how much coordination is involved until you actually get involved in it. But I was a builder myself about probably about 25 years ago at this point. Built about 250 to 300 houses, and still kept in contact with a lot of my old subcontractors who did work for me back then. So I felt like I could get some good prices talking to these people and saying, hey, I'm building a house for myself, what can you do for me? Well, it turns out that the people who I talked to who were only in business for 5 years as opposed to 35 years, hadn't had 35 years of price increases where they could have pushed their prices up to here. And I was actually able to get better prices from people who have been in business more recently than I was for the guys who have been around for those 30 or 35 years. I saw differences of $10,000 just from low plumber to high plumber. I saw a range of $21,000 to $49,000 from framers. Those are huge differences. You start talking about a $28,000 price range in a $300,000 house, that's 10% of the cost of the house. That's pretty much what the contractor's profit might have been on something like that. So if you're going out there and you're gonna try to act as your own subcontractor and you're gonna start calling names out of the phone book, don't do it, because you're gonna get taken to the cleaners by everybody you talk to. The numbers can just be really astronomical. Instead, you've got a builder who's been hiring the same plumber to do 20 houses a year or 30 houses a year. He's gonna be getting a better deal than you are. It's as simple as that. And if he's getting a 10% better deal and he's only charging 10% over for his work, you're breaking even and you have somebody who's gonna take all the risk and all the effort out of your hands. So it's definitely the way to go. And that's all I have to say. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'll be happy to answer them.
I have a question.
Sure.
Because right now we're in the explosionary phase. Do we knock it down? Do we get a modulator? Yeah, that's what you're telling me. So my question is, when we look for an architect, however you say it, when we look for one, do we go in and get a bid on what they would charge us for those drawings? How do we go about that?
As architects, we offer a range of services that can deal with about 4 different levels. I have people who come in and say, what do you got that you can show me? And after Sandy, we actually built a book of plans because we had some people who had 40 and 50 foot wide lots out on the barrier islands and said, I need a house that'll fit, and it's gonna be about 2,000 square feet. What do you got that'll fit on my 40 foot wide lot? So I could go through my book and say, okay, here's a bunch of 24 foot wide houses that'll fit for you. Take a look at them, see what you think. And somebody could look through those plans, and the chances are not very good that you're going to find something and say, that's the house that I want, because it was somebody else's house.
Right.
It was done for them, and you're going to have different things that you want. But it's easy to change those plans, because nowadays everything's in the computer. It's easy to take that plan and modify it to give you exactly what you want. So that's level 1. Level 2 is the guy who comes in and says, here's the Asbury Park Press House of the Week. I like this, but I want to make a few changes. Don't think about it too much, just draw it for me. So we're really just a glorified drafting service at that point, but we are doing things like the energy efficiency monitoring of the house. We are doing the wind resistant design, showing which walls are braced walls. We're designing the piling system for the foundation. So it does involve a lot of our expertise, even though there isn't a whole lot of design work. Level 3 is the guy who says, I like this house, but I want to do a whole bunch of changes. What do you think I can do here? What can I do there? So we're still starting with some kind of a starting point, but it's kind of a nebulous starting point because it isn't too close to what he had in mind. And then, of course, level 4 is the guy who walks in and says, I just bought this $150,000 lot, and I have a building footprint that's 35 by 55, and I want you to design a house for me that's going to be about 2,000 square feet that takes advantage of all my views, and I want the garage here, and I want, it's a house that nobody has even visualized yet. And cost range can be tremendous over that. And you can spend as little as maybe $1,100 to $1,500 on a set of plans if you happen to find the ideal plan, look at it, say this is exactly what I want. Or you could spend $25,000 on a set of plans if you want something designed especially for you.
So that's really great information. But when I start the process, when I walk in, do I get an estimate? If I come and say this is what I want, this is how we want it laid out, we probably have a plan like that.
What I asked,
Do you get an estimate? Do I get an estimate?
Vince, you mind if I step in on this for 1 second? Yeah, you're actually leading to another topic that is kind of important on how to get started with building a new house. And there's generally 2 approaches. One is you hire an architect and then you'll pay the architect directly, have a full set of plans, and then you can try to go find a builder. The other approach is what we call a design-build approach, where you deal directly, we work as a team, so we typically give you a proposal that includes the architecture and the construction, so it's not a separate fee. The problem that we find that a lot of people run into with the architect first and then put it out to bid is they frequently come back at the end and have to revise everything because they're way over their initial budget. So for example, you might have a certain budget in mind for a house that's 2 or 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and if you're not dealing with the builder and the architect together, it's very easy to get off track and get to the end, and you may have a budget, let's just throw a number, let's say your budget is $200,000, and you finished the set of plans, you added a bunch of features, and then you put it out to bid, and your bids come in at $250, $270, $280, and now you say, all right, well, where do we go from here? Let's start over from the beginning. So we recommend doing the design-build approach, where we're, right from the very beginning, we're talking about budget, and we will design the house to fit within that budget.
Okay. Good.
And kind of dovetail into that, a lot of times we'll have a client who will come in and ask for a house, and maybe they pick out a set of plans that we have, but we make a bunch of changes to it. We'll do a preliminary round of changes to their plans, floor plans and outside views, but not get too far into it. And then they'll take those plans and they'll talk to their builder with those preliminary drawings. So now the builder has something he can specifically bid from, even though it's not exact. It may not have the exact pile count on it yet, but there's going to be enough information there that the builder can start putting numbers together and know that you're not going to be more than 3 or 5% out, or whatever your total number is, because it's been an accurate bid that's been based on the preliminary drawings. And we always encourage people to do that. It doesn't always happen. I also have had situations sometimes, though, to counter what was just mentioned, where the builder was the one who met with the client, had the plans prepared, we didn't have any interaction with the client at all, or except as the builder. And then the plans were done, the client came back and said, well, wait a minute, this isn't what I wanted, it's not this, this, and this. But you didn't know. So you need to make sure that the interaction between all parties is covered to get you exactly what you want out of it.
Okay. It's good information, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.